Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman. On the show tonight,
the stakes could not be higher.
A federal judge says the census count must continue through the end of October. Even with extra time, Chicago still lags behind. We talk with two people who've spent months working toward a complete count. And we look back at the 1990 census and familiar fears that many Black and Latinx Chicagoans were being left out. Amid calls to defund the police and address systemic racism, we hear from 3 Black Chicago police officers. And a portrait of a family-owned record shop that's been on the West Side since the 1960s.
You celebrate after you win the game.
And remembering Chicago Bears legend Gail Sayers, who died this week at 77. We look back at his 2007 interview with John Calloway. But first, some of the top stories from this week. Protesters took to the streets of Louisville, Chicago, and other cities, protesting a grand jury move not to indict any of the 3 police officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. Kentucky's Attorney General Daniel Cameron explained what the evidence showed after the grand jury indicted just one of the officers for endangering Taylor's neighbors. But activists say they reject the jury's decision.
I think it is worth repeating again that our investigation found that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in their use of force after having been fired upon by Kenneth Walker.
State and federal laws got to change. Police are too protected in this country. Yeah. When police do wrong, they gotta go to jail. Yeah.
Marijuana dispensary applicants are getting a second chance for a state license. Governor J.B. Pritzker has paused the lottery that would have been this month after an outcry over the state's process for getting into the lottery. Unsuccessful applicants will now be notified of how they missed out on the points that would have gotten them into the lottery, and they'll be given the chance to submit more information. Advocates say the change is a step in the right direction, but they believe more can be done. And Robert's Temple Church of God in Christ, where thousands spent 3 days viewing the mutilated remains of Emmett Till in September 1955, is among the country's 11 most endangered historic places. The National Trust for Historic Preservation released the list this past week. The trust says the church has severe structural issues and needs rehabilitation funding and partnerships. And be sure to check out our website for the latest from WTTW News. Up next, getting a complete census count despite the deadline being in question.
Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Late Thursday, a federal judge ordered the Census Bureau to continue its 2020 count until the end of October, reversing the Bureau's decision to stop work this coming Wednesday. The Trump administration is appealing that ruling, but whenever the count ends, community leaders and elected officials have been making a big push to get the city's and state's response rates up. Governor Pritzker has been touring Illinois, asking residents to help get the message out.
Call your friends, call your neighbors, send them a text, an email, and urge them to do their part. Just like voting, filling out a census is an act of civic engagement. It's a demand to be fully heard and fully counted.
And joining us to talk about efforts to boost the census response rate are Nubia Willman, director of Chicago's Office of New Americans and a member of the Illinois Complete Count Commission, and Aisha Butler, founder of the Resident Association of Greater Englewood. Welcome both of you to Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. So Nubia, let's start with you if we can. Late Thursday, a federal judge ordered the Census Bureau to continue counting until the end of October. As we mentioned, that's reversing a decision to end the count by September, the end of September. Are you happy to have that extra time?
Yes, happy doesn't is an understatement. We really need every single day as much as possible to make sure we have an accurate count. So we're very satisfied with the outcome of that hearing, and we're hopeful of how the appeal will go. But in the meantime, we're going to take every day that we have.
Is there any concern that this kind of back and forth could create additional confusion?
Absolutely, it does cause confusion, and that's something we have to work with. And we've been, frankly, dealing with that from the onset with the citizenship litigation. But we continue to work and make headway with our community residents to help them understand why the census is important and that it's safe. We're going to continue to do that into October.
Aisha Butler, also known as Mrs. Inglewood. The Census Bureau says that Illinois' self-response rate is nearly 71%, and that's higher than the national average, but Chicago's is under 60%. Why do you think it's been so difficult to get that number up in places like Inglewood?
Yeah, we are teetering over about 38 to 42%, and this is what happened back in 2010. It's a difficult message when folks have felt in communities like Inglewood, they have never counted, they have never been important, and that the government has never cared about their well-being. So it's very hard to get folks who have felt that way to buy into the census count. So we have to meet them where they are and have to have a conversation about we're losing out because of the lack of our count, that we're not counting our population, and really try to talk in the language that they speak. Yesterday we was at a laundromat. So we went there and said, let's talk about the census, let's do the census, and also if you do it right here on the spot, we got a free wash for you. And that was really relatable to folks who had time to listen around the importance of the census.
So, Nubia Woolman, for many Chicagoans, especially those who may be immigrants or previously incarcerated, there is a mistrust of the government that might make outreach difficult. Has the pandemic compounded that concern and that problem?
Yes, absolutely. The pandemic has added a barrier that we weren't expecting to really do that in-person engagement, because the studies show and the best practices are for those trusted messengers to get out there in the ground, at the laundromats, at the grocery stores, face to face, to say, hey, it's okay, you can trust me because you know me, you can fill it out. So certainly the pandemic put a stop to a lot of the community engagement we would have been able to do in the spring. We've tried to make up for it in the summer, and now as we're entering the fall, certainly we continue to do those community engagements in a social distance way. And we do see that moves the needle, and we're hoping to continue to do that as the days progress.
Aisha, you just talked about some of the outreach activities that RAGE has been doing to get more people to complete their census count as well. But how do you help folks to understand what is really at stake if they don't complete their part of the census?
So, us being out right now, able to do it in the summer, then the fall, did give us an opportunity to be in front of folks. And I was speaking at an event with a few elected officials around the census, and I just asked everybody who has a senior citizen in their family, and just to raise their hands. And who knows someone on public aid? Raise your hands. And then I just really said, this is what's impacted. These populations, these communities, this is what we will lose in terms of services and public and federal dollars to support investment in our community. And I think when we couple the message in that way where it's relatable to them, we're able to really get through, and people sign up right there. Oh, you know what? I didn't do it. Now I can do it online. And so we had our iPhones out, getting people to sign up right there on the spot. You wasn't leaving our side until you did it.
Not going to let you go until you do it. Nubia, there are obviously congressional seats that are on the line here, but certainly a lot of money as well. And you just heard Aisha Butler talking about the financial impact and explaining that to people. What kind of financial impact could an undercount have?
Right, so I don't want to speculate and necessarily create more fear in folks of what it could be if we have an inaccurate count, but we are talking about $800 billion in resources, that's billion with a B, that is allocated throughout the country, and we want to make sure we get our fair share. We want to make sure we're providing those resources, and as Aisha mentioned, it's schools, it's infrastructure, it's programs, it's congressional representation. It really is just so all-encompassing. And then we have to live with the consequences for 10 years. So we really have to get it right. And as she mentioned, it doesn't necessarily resonate. It's such a large number. But when you get down to the nitty gritty to say this is a program, it's a school, it's a library I go to, it's really important for people to feel the connection.
And Aisha, we've got about 15 seconds left. What kind of final push are you guys going to be making there?
Yeah, what I say all the time is that we really are not doing it for us right now. 10 years from now, the people most impacted are the ones we didn't count, and it's not their fault. And so if we can do our civic duty to help the folks after us who will be impacted by our decisions today, I think that we could get more people to get on board and really care about how important this is. So I would start there with
best of luck.
Of this.
We will have to leave it there. Best of luck to you both. My thanks to Aisha Butler and Nubia Willman for joining us.
Thank you.
And up next, to be a black police officer in Chicago during this reckoning with racial injustice. 3 officers shared their experiences in a conversation recorded earlier. But first, we dip into our archive for a look back to the 1990 census and some familiar concerns.
The 200th Census of the United States, the process by which the federal government tries to count its people, ended in most cities, including Chicago, last Thursday. It ended late, millions of dollars over budget, and amidst criticism that many people, especially minorities and inner-city residents, have been missed.
We have procedures in place that will produce a very accurate count in the city of Chicago. I believe that it will be a count that will improve our coverage of minorities and poor people in the city as well.
Black activist Irma James says African Americans are still upset they were classified on census forms as black or Negro rather than as African American.
We asked the people to cooperate with the census, and then when the forms came out, they felt as though it was a slap in the face, and then we felt that we had really done a disservice to our people. I think that it is perhaps a good plan gone wrong. I think that it was somebody's idea of something that had worked perhaps when there were fewer people, and another time in the early 1900s, perhaps when there weren't so many people, when you did not have the high rises as you have now, when you did not have such diverse communities, and you didn't have the immigration problem that you have. I don't think that you can use old methods. I mean, you need new methods to reach old goals.
In the aftermath of George Floyd's death and other police killings of black Americans, calls to defund and reform the police have intensified. This as Chicago grapples with the coronavirus, a drastic increase in shootings, and amid contract negotiations between the city and police union. Joining us to discuss policing as black officers amid a racial justice movement are Officer Malcolm Brooks, Officer Rashida Young, and Sergeant Jermaine Harris. Welcome to Chicago Tonight. Thanks to all of you for joining us. So, Sergeant Harris, let's start with you, please. Obviously, recent months have been filled with heightened community police tensions in response to police killings of black Americans. How do you navigate your own identity as a black police officer at a time like this?
I think the big thing about it, Brandis, is that there's really no separation. Like, I don't get to take off being a black man and becoming a police, and those things are interchangeable. So those roles are really one. And so as I do them, it's really with that integrity of understanding my community and bringing in those benefits of being able to relate and connect to the people we serve. I think that's a great benefit with being an African-American police officer.
And Officer Brooks, you joined the police department 3 years ago because you wanted to see change. You wanted to be the change that you want to see. Do you feel like you're having an impact, and what is the change you'd like to see?
I do believe I'm having an impact. Working in community policing has been a great experience. We're able to go out and just really do the type of policing that I came on the job to do. And so, yes, I believe that going forward as far as the change that I want to see more of a combined, unified effort with the community and the police, because we can't do this job without the community.
I imagine that's difficult in a time like this. Do you feel like you're seeing that happen?
Absolutely. I've been a part of community policing for about a year now, and I've made a lot of great relationships with people in the community. I think that a lot more needs to be done, but we're making good groundwork, and we're starting to make a lot of collaborative efforts, especially on the west side of Chicago. That's the side of Chicago that I work on. So a lot of great things are happening, and I look forward to a lot of great things happening in the future.
And Officer Young, obviously in the aftermath of George Floyd's death and recent police shootings, you told our producer that you feel a greater sense of responsibility as a black officer. What is that responsibility?
And so my responsibility now is to intervene more. Not to say that I wasn't intervening in the beginning, but I'm helping out a lot more, because if you're not born and raised in the city of Chicago, what tends to happen is you don't understand the people that live here. And being an officer, you know, I'm stepping up to the plate more to help out with the community, you know, as opposed to like the community versus the residents or the citizens in Chicago. I'm intervening more because a lot of times the residents aren't understood by officers that aren't from Chicago.
And how would you say the job of policing has changed for you in recent years?
Well, policing is changed dramatically with the deaths and things like that have occurred. It's just one of those things as to where what we need to do is we need to learn how to de-escalate more. You know, we can't just come to the scene or respond to a job and, you know, it's you do as I say. And, you know, I mean, people need to be heard, and I'm here to hear them out.
Sergeant Harris, we've heard a lot of talk about defunding the police department, and it's getting a lot more air in recent months. What are your thoughts on that argument?
So the idea of, you know, saying the word defund police, it's a polarizing, you know, statement to make. And I think the trouble with that is that we're getting lost in the wording and not really understanding what it means. So if you really dissect the understanding of what the calls are asking for, it's really is, let's use our funding, let's use our resources more effective to benefit people. And as officers, as a black officer, with all of us, you know, the three of us, we all agree that resources need to be spent properly. So if we can get past the idea of turning this into a political topic and really get to serving our communities and what's really needed there, that's something I can get behind. And I'm all behind getting those resources where they need to be. As
police officers, you know, we hear a lot of people say that we are asking our officers, our police officers, to do more than they are trained to do. Sergeant Harris, what's your reaction to that?
So defunding really is how we got into this mess in the first place. Our social services, our mental health, you know, all these resources that exist that have been defunded in the past. And over these decades and years that this investment has been occurring, it's been now placing that burden upon police officers to fill that gap. Our officers are now getting training for dealing with mental health issues. Mental health isn't a crime, right? They're being trained to deal with youth issues. We're being trained all of these things to fill these voids and these gaps when we could really use a lot more help with getting people that are professionals and experts in those areas to be able to step up and get into the game.
So obviously, you know, the push for reform, it comes as the city is negotiating a new contract with the police union, the Fraternal Order of Police. Officer Brooks, do you feel well represented by the FOP?
Yeah, I do. But I can only speak from my point of view and my perceptions of how I view things. I've actually met the union president, and our interactions were pretty positive. And so, yeah, I do feel like I'm represented, but my interactions with him or my interactions with FOP may not be the interactions that other people may have. So I can't speak to other people's perceptions and their interactions, but I can only speak to mine. So far, so good.
Obviously, as officers retire, the number of black cops is likely to decrease, according to an annual report from the city's Deputy Inspector General for Public Safety. Officer Young, how important is it to have more black officers on the beat?
Well, the community is saying they would like to see people that look like them. That's what we hear a lot of times. We've had several community conversations, And, they want people to be able to understand them.
So obviously you feel that it is important for more officers like the three of you to be doing the job.
I'm not going to say that we can get more officers like the three of us to do the job because it is hard, but it would help out.
Okay. My thanks to Sergeant Jermaine Harris, Officer Rashida Young, and Officer Malcolm Brooks. Thanks to all of you for joining us on Chicago Tonight. Up next, a portrait of a family-owned record shop on the west side. But first, to Paris Schutz with a look at what's on tap next week on Chicago Tonight.
Brandis, we've got a lot coming up to talk about. A look at the president's Supreme Court nominee and what it could mean for the court. Plus, Donald Trump and Joe Biden face off in their first presidential debate. That's all next week at 7 here on 11.
For more than 50 years, a family business in West Garfield Park has persevered in good times and bad. They run a record shop that sells music in many formats and pretty much anything else that will sell. Producer Mark Vitale visited Out of the Past Records and took a step back in time.
We've been in business so long with records. Well, at one time I had 10 stores. The first 45 we sold was Color Him Father. That was in 1960, 69.
Marie Henderson ran the business with her husband Charlie before he retired. They married back in 1961. Now semi-retired herself, Marie runs the shop with her granddaughter and a man she calls her honorary son.
Been here for going on 30 years. Initially, it was mostly getting updated with computers and everything like that, getting everything digital, getting everything online, trying to get an inventory of things. I don't know if we'll ever get it done. We did attempt to, but our buyers didn't like that. Our buyers actually let us know, hey, don't organize. And the reason is because they love coming in and it being a treasure hunt for them. So they love digging through stuff and finding things that nobody else has found.
Yes, it's a lot of digging. We tell them when they come in, you're going to get dusty because this is out of the past.
Different music in different formats appeals to people around the world.
I have a guy that comes in, he comes every year from Germany, a guy that comes from England. I have had a couple of guys that come from Japan.
Marie has a fun story about the time she almost locked a customer in the store overnight. Check it out on our website. One reason for their longevity is that they sell more than records. They've sold wigs, balloons, jewelry, and photographs.
We sell a bunch of different things. That's what keep us in the business for a long time. We just don't stick to one thing. I pretty much grew up in this store, so that's how I found the love for old school music. Some of her customers are surprised that I know so much about music at a young age, but this is pretty much where I've been at since I was a baby. We grew up working. Like my grandparents always instilled, if you want something, you have to work for it.
This year, Out of the Past has endured a pandemic and civil unrest.
We didn't have to deal with the looting and, in the store in particular. Now, all around us they did, but they know we were black owned and we've been a staple in the community. So they really didn't bother us too much. We've been here long enough and we have a relationship with the customers. And a lot of times with their parents and grandparents and stuff like that.
Even though they have never quite gone away, Out of the Past sees itself as poised for a comeback.
And I really think records they coming back. If they say it have a period where everything die down and come back. So we tell them when you come in, don't expect a miracle. We're not a fancy store. We're a store for you to come in. It's like being at home. If you want to crawl, crawl. If you want to walk, walk. If you want to search, search. You're always home here.
For Chicago Tonight, this is Mark Vitale.
Always home and Out of the Past. You can find out more about Out of the Past Records on our website, and be sure to see the owner's story about the time she nearly locked a customer in the store overnight. Former Chicago Bear Gail Sayers has been remembered in recent days for his short but remarkable career as a running back. Sayers died this past Wednesday. After knee injuries forced him out of the game, Sayers became a businessman and philanthropist, but he remained an avid football fan. And in 2007, he had a wide-ranging conversation with our John Calloway, where they discussed their mutual distaste for younger players' tendency toward excessive celebration after routine plays.
You celebrate after you win the game. You don't celebrate in the first quarter or the second quarter or the third quarter. You celebrate when the game is over. And when these players make a tackle, jump up and down, turn flips and all this kind of stuff, and moon the crowd and different things, that's not football. It really is not. It's not football, and I hate to see it happen. And hopefully the NFL about 10 years ago said they would do something about that, but they haven't done anything about it yet.
Do they see it? Are we just old fogies? Are we just seeing, do we want to see football when indeed now people want to see entertainment? Is there a different sensibility, Gail?
No, it's not. If the crowd never saw that on television, it'd be a better game. If the crowd in the stadium never saw that, it'd be a better game.
Gail Sayers was 77. And that's our show for this Sunday night. Be sure to check out our website for the latest from WTTW News. And join Paris Schutz and me tomorrow at 7 on Chicago Tonight. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight Black Voices, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning for this program is brought to you by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, dedicated to preserving the dignity and rights of all individuals.